What's up, everybody? Welcome to Make Things Tiny. If you've ever wondered what it takes to build a tiny home, what goes into that process, what are the certifications that you need, what are the steps in that certification process, this is the perfect video for you. Today we're welcoming Saylor back onto the channel, the owner of Coastal Tiny Homes. Saylor is currently working on a couple tiny homes. They're going to walk us through one of those today, talk about the certification process specifically for NOAA certification. So this is a really great video for you all. I'm excited for you to learn from Saylor. If you're new to the channel, please do take time to subscribe, and let's get into it. Let's go behind the scenes. All right, I'm here today with Saylor. Saylor, thank you so much for being back on the channel. I'm excited to have you back on the channel, have you talk about everything that you've been up to. If you don't mind, just talking a little bit about what you've been up to since we last chatted, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me back. I was super excited to be on the first video, and I'm glad to be back for a second and more in the future. So since my last appearance on your channel, I have sold that tiny home that I have. It was a 20-foot model. My interview was inside that home. You got to see all the finishes and high quality stuff of that tiny home. The one I'm in now is one that I'm currently working on the construction of. This is a 24-foot model. I also have another 32-foot model going on currently. So I'm bouncing between both of those. But this one here is for Poplar Creek, which is in Ruffton, North Carolina, Rutherford County. This one and the other one are both going up there. They are the two projects I have going currently, and really just been taking my time on them, making sure they're to the highest quality standards, built the correct way, have all the correct certifications, and just done the right way, like I harped on the last video.
Yeah. No, it's great. I think it's really, I think that, I mean, it's awesome. I mean, I said it in the last video, like I appreciate, all the time and the hard work and the effort you put into just making sure that everything's built the way that it's supposed to be. I think that's what people need. And I'm sure it's, helps people feel more confident when, they go to take a look at what you're doing or buy one of your homes too.
Absolutely.
Mhm. Yeah. Do you mind showing us around the 24 footer that you're working on right now, and just sort of like walk us through what you're doing? Anything that you think it might be helpful for people to know?
Yeah. So we can start outside since that's where you will first see the home. So this is a 24-foot model. It's 10 foot wide. It's got 6 black windows throughout. It'll have white board and batten siding. It'll have a black metal roof that's going on next week.
Hmm.
It'll have off the front here, we'll have our mini split outdoor unit sitting here. Along the back side will be our 50 amp service. And yeah, so this will be a modern farmhouse looking home. It's white, black, I said black roof. This one, now that we're inside, we'll be able to see. Down here behind me, this is going to be a downstairs bedroom. It'll fit a queen bed. Under this window is intended to go a queen.
Okay.
This one has a gable roof pitch to give it that more traditional farmhouse look. In
Yeah.
here, we'll
Nice.
have a standard entry door. It'll have a barn door to the bathroom, but just trying to switch it up and showcase, because these are the model homes, showcase all that we can do, all the different
Hmm.
options that these potential clients can choose from.
Sure. Yeah.
So this home has already been wired and passed its electrical inspection. These homes are certified by NOAA, which certifies tiny homes. And so mine are certified. They made all the certifications, all the requirements throughout. So far, this one has had 4 of the 7 inspections required. The first
Okay.
one is your trailer. They look at the frame of the trailer, look at how it's built, your ratings, your axles, tires, lug pattern, you name it, they look at it to make sure it's a quality foundation. Once you pass that, you then begin framing. This is all framed out of 2x4 walls, 2x6 engineered roof trusses. That all passed once you put the sheathing on. Once you do that, then you do your dry-in inspection, which is essentially putting in your windows, your house wrap, your roof wrap, and all the flashing to make sure there's no leaks coming in. It's past that one, and now we've had our electrical inspection earlier this week. It's a 50 amp service. We got a 12 breaker panel, which is behind me right here. This is going to be the outside wall of the bathroom. Next to that panel, and in between the switch right behind me, is going to be a ladder to access this loft. This loft has its egress window for an emergency exit. It's large enough, as well as the loft is large enough to fit a queen bed. A ladder will go between here. I may have just said that, but I'm talking about a lot of stuff. So, anyway, so we passed our electrical inspection. Next will be the remaining trades, which will be HVAC for the mini split that is going to mount behind me. We'll have all our plumbing for our kitchen sink, our fridge, and our shower, toilet, and bathroom vanity. Once that's in, and we'll pressure test it, make sure there's no leaks on the water lines or the drain lines. And then we'll come run our gas line to our gas stove and gas water heater that will mount outside. Once all that's done, pressure tested, we'll have that inspected. That'll be stage 5 of the inspection process. Once that passes, then we can get the home insulated. This home will have spray foam insulation, open cell in the walls, and the ceiling is giving it an R13 in the walls, R19 in the ceilings. Below in the floor will be a closed cell insulation, which will give it about an R13 to R15 insulation, depending how thick we decide to spray it. All of it's going to meet the requirements from NOAA, so there's no need to worry about it being skimped or passed on. Yeah. So back to the tour of the home.
I have a question. I have a couple questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, quick question. So for the pressure testing, is that something that every builder does, or is that something that you choose to do just to double check and make sure that everything is filled out the way that it's supposed to be?
Yes, so NOAA requires it to be pressure tested.
Okay.
Just like traditional homes. I work for my dad's plumbing company, so I'm very familiar with pressure testing our water lines and our drain lines when it comes to the rough in stage, which is the stage this tiny home is in. Even though I'm familiar with it, anyone can do it. It's not a hard process. Once we get to our plumbing, we pressure test all our water lines. They're going to have 80 pounds of pressure in them. Our DWV, which is our drain lines and vent, our vent's going to go through the roof, and it's going to be 10 foot above the floor. So you're going to fill that to the top with water to make sure there's no leaks in your drains. And that's going to put more pressure, being that taller head in there. But it's going to check all your joints, make sure you didn't punch a nail in one of your pipes when you're drilling or nailing or anything like that. So it is something that NOAA requires. I've always done them on my homes, regardless of if they required them or not, just because you'd hate to miss a crimp or accidentally shoot a nail in the siding or anything like that. And down the road, when the house is finished and you deliver it and hook it up, and you have a nail in your water line, or you didn't clip that ring you thought you did, and it's going to eventually flood the home, cause rot. So it's so much better to be safer than sorry when it comes to something so simple as taking a few minutes out of your day, filling up the water lines and the DWV to test. Just make sure it's all good to go. And what I'll do is I'll leave the pressure on the home throughout the entire process, because when you're doing your insulation and then your interior finishes and your exterior, so your siding and trim, it's super easy to drive a nail or a screw in that location because you can't necessarily see it once the insulation's in there. You can see the electricians, they'll put these nail guards where you need them. When they drill too close to the interior wall, if they're not centering the stud, they need to put these. So that's why you see them in some spots, not others. So that will basically serve the purpose of not being able to shoot a nail or drive a screw into that stud, meaning it's guarding that wire. So there's no way for you to shoot it if you use the right length nails or screws. So once we do the plumbing, we'll put those nail guards up as well, just to protect all the pipes and prevent puncturing one of them one way or another.
Okay. So if someone buys a tiny house and the person they bought it from, it's not NOAA certified, they run the risk of them not having done the pressure test or like potentially having it leak. Like what's the difference? Like I'm thinking about like potential buyers, like people don't necessarily know what to look for when they're looking for a tiny home, and not all tiny house companies have that certification. So what are the potential things that they could end up experiencing down the line if they buy a house that's not NOAA certified?
Yeah, so there's obviously some risk when it comes to a home that's not certified. You see your homes in your neighborhoods or your counties, they all have to go through the county or city and get those inspections to be built by that qualified builder, pass inspections, meet codes, everything like that. So when you're looking at a tiny house that doesn't have those certifications, there is the risk that it hasn't had that pressure test. There's a risk that it doesn't have, the framing doesn't have all these hurricane straps, every rafter and every king stud coming down to the studs. There's risk that there's not these lag bolts welded to the trailer to hold down the bottom plate. There's risk with a lot of things when there's no inspections throughout the process, ensuring that it's done the correct way. So my advice to buyers is make sure a home is NOAA certified, RVIA certified, HUD certified. Those are three of the options out there. NOAA does offer a as-built inspection, so it can be a finished home. So that last home I had, if it wasn't certified and the buyer was requesting it be, or their property needed it to be, whatever the case may be, they could have, or I could have, went on NOAA's website, had a consultation with one of their executives or inspectors, and kind of just walk them through the process, show them the home, and they'll say, is it worth the time and money to get that as-built inspection? It costs more than your traditional inspection, like a house that's inspected from the beginning, just because it's more work. They're not really seeing behind the scenes. There's more risk with that, but I haven't had to do an as-built inspection. I'd imagine they wouldn't skip on stuff, even if they would make you pull down some wall paneling just to check the insulation rating or where the wires go or whatever the case may be. So they do offer an as-built inspection, but all of mine are inspected from the beginning, certified throughout the whole process. So there's not as much risk. Obviously, there's risk with everything you do, but when it comes to a certified versus non-certified home, I would definitely make sure that the home is certified. If not, it can be certified by that builder before you pay them in full. Just so you can watch out for those things that could go wrong in the near future, it not having those pressure tests or those inspections or anything like that done during the process.
Okay, cool. No, it's helpful to know, because I feel like as it is right now, people who are interested in buying a tiny house, their only option is to just pick a builder and then kind of trust that that builder is doing what they say they're doing. So without the certification, there's really no way to know whether or not the home is actually like built well, unless you have that background and you understand what to look for. So that's helpful for people to know. Probably makes more sense to just go with the builder that's already certified than to take the risk of going through a builder where they don't have those certifications.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. So even after it's NOAA cert, even with the NOAA certifications, is there something is there another certification beyond that you would get, or is the NOAA certification that's good? Like if it's NOAA certified, it's covered enough where like someone would feel good about how it's built.
Yeah, so the NOAA certification is who I deal with. I haven't dealt with RVIA or HUD or any other companies that are out there, but NOAA specializes in the tiny homes and tiny homes on wheels. So that's why I use them. They have a super easy process, very helpful people that work with them for them. But yeah, so their inspection process is very, very similar to your traditional homes that you see in neighborhoods or on land or whatever the case may be. So it's going to check your foundation, which is going to be your stage one. So it's going to check your trailer, check
Okay.
the span of your floor joists, check how thick they are, how they're welded together, your lag bolts, are they 4 foot on center? They're going to check a lot of these things. And so once that's passed, you then go, you start your framing. So they're going to make sure, like I pointed out, the hurricane straps on every king stud, which is your studs that go from the bottom plate to the top plate. Every continuous stud needs a strap on the bottom and the top, as well as your uh, your straps on your hurricane straps on your roof trusses. They all need to be tied to the top plate, which your top plate is then tied down the king stud to your bottom plate attached to your trailer through those threaded rods. So it essentially ties everything together. That's the bare minimum of their inspection process. So if you do that, it's it's good enough. Which there's not a better way to do it when you tie everything together to the frame, essentially. Um, so once that's done, they'll do your dry end, which I spoke about, your
Sure.
flashing,
Yeah.
make sure there's no leaks, your house wrap, roof wrap, everything like that. They'll do your trades, which is your electrical, your plumbing, your gas, and your HVAC. Those are pressure tested, nail guards where they need to be, wiring is the correct size, everything like that. Then they'll do your insulation, which I also spoke about. Well, this one will be the open cell, will meet the R value minimums. After that, then it's your final inspection. So from the time you see the insulation in the walls, you won't have another inspection until the very end when the house is completed, power on, water running, uh, air or heat running, whichever time of year it is. Um, Everything is operable and you're ready to move in. So there is a big gap, but um, it is they want to see all the behind the scenes stuff, which is really why I'm doing this video. So I
Mhm.
want people to be able to see behind the walls because people
Yeah.
just see the finished product like you did in the last
Right.
video I was a part of. You see the walls, the
Mhm.
paint color, the AC blowing, you see the fan on, you see the candles on that are plugged into the outlets. You see a number of things, which is what people want to see. But when it comes to the structure and how it's built, you need to know what's behind the walls, what's behind the scenes that you're never going to see unless you decide to start tearing your walls down, which no one's going to just openly do.
Yeah. That's true. No, and I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time to walk people through, like walk me through this. Like I'm learning something, like I feel like I learn something every time I talk to you, and I appreciate you just being honest because I do think that this is an important part of the process. I think when you go to buy a tiny home, you're buying what's beyond, what's behind the walls too. You're not just buying the, what looks good, and it's great that it looks good, and your homes do look fantastic. They're beautiful homes. But it is important for people to know what's going on behind it so they can ask the right questions and they can tell the difference. The hope is that people would be able to walk into like a tiny home and be able to tell the difference between one that's built well and one that's not, even if the finishes look kind of similar.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely difficult to be able to know how it's built once it is built and once it is complete. But there's really just you really have to choose the right builder. You have to choose one that is going to do it the right way. There is there is bare minimums that you can do that some builders do just to get by. I'm not one of those. You can NOAA allows you to do an advanced framing system, which means you basically put all your studs 2 foot on center, so 24 inches between, versus all of mine are 16 on center. So you think for every 3 studs I use 4. So you think that's just
Mm,
that much more money going
okay.
into it, but that's also that much more of a structure that there is. I'm especially being on a trailer and it being moved, whether it's moved once, whether it's moved every week, whether someone uses it for their travel trailer and their weekend getaway. Um, I'm going to make sure it's as structurally sound as it can possibly be. So I'm not going to skimp on whether it be the framing materials, the space between, the on center, the hurricane straps. They're all going to meet code. So all of my homes are going to be built to those standards as well as exceeding the bare minimum, just because I never want anything to happen to my homes in general, but especially structurally when people aren't going to uh, see stuff that could possibly go wrong. For instance, those water lines, you're not going to see those except sticking out of the wall when they go to that fixture it's supplying. You never
Right.
know. There could be a small nail hole in it, and over time, you keep running that sink, it's going to eventually run down the wall, run under your floor. You're going to finally see it. You're either going to feel a soft spot in the floor over time, or you're going to finally see it running out underneath, and you're going to think something's dripping. You're not going to know where it's coming from. So it's really important to make sure it's done the right way for the long haul. So it's mine. Mine are always going to exceed the expectations. Just blow the bare minimum out of the water.
No, it's good. I mean, I can tell. Like again, like you do a really great job of explaining everything, and it's good for people to know that there are sort of like bare minimum standards, and then there's builders that go above and beyond those, and I think that's important for people to know too. So I appreciate you taking the time to just talk about all of it and walk everybody through this house that you're working on. And I'm excited for them to see the next one. So for people that are, watching right now, they can check out everything that you're doing. As always, like the links to your website and social media in the video description, but they can also get excited because this is just part one. So part two will be checking out the other house that you have, and people can learn more about that house and some of the maintenance questions that, I've had people ask. So I'm excited for people to continue to see what you're doing too. So thank you so much again, Saylor.
Yep, absolutely. I appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to that next video and walking you through that one. It's close to the same layout. At the same time, it's a little different because it's a little bigger. But yeah, I'm happy to show you it. It's in a little different stage. So uh, people will be able to see the same stuff as well as me talk about a little bit different stuff because it is a little bit behind in the building process. So it hasn't quite had the inspections this one has had, but still be able to walk you through, talk you through it, and I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Saylor.
All right. Yep. Thank you. See you then.
All right, that's a wrap on part one of this behind the scenes with Saylor. So I really appreciate Saylor taking the time to walk us through their 24 by 10 foot home. This is going to be a model for Poplar Creek Tiny Home Village as well, outside of Charlotte. Make sure you check out that video too. But for this particular video, it was great to go through the different certification processes. So even for myself, like I'm not an expert on the different processes for certification. So it was great to learn about them and to learn even down to the different types of tests that builders do to make sure their homes don't leak. So I really hope that you guys took notes. If you didn't take notes, I hope you reach out to Saylor so that you can learn more about the different types of questions that you should ask, and then also find your new tiny home builder. I couldn't speak more highly of Saylor, so make sure that you reach out to them if you're interested in buying a tiny home. They've got some great models that are going to be coming up, and then also some really cool builds they've already done. So make sure you check out their social media. If you're new to the channel, please take time to subscribe and get ready for part two. I'm excited for you guys to see this next house that Saylor's working on. And as always, don't forget to think tiny. I'll see you guys in the next one.